Hello there, and welcome to my overview of issues 31 and 32 of Combat Patrol. Issue 31 comes with a Dark Apostle and 2 Dark Disciples. They are the first pieces we've got for our Chaos Space Marines. We obviously get their bases as well. And issue 32, we get 2 more paints. Well, it's more 1 paint and a wash. We get some Uruk Flesh and we get some Reikland Flesh Shade. So starting with issue 31, and of course, as soon as we open it up, we get the how to build section. So we're going to dive straight into that and get our gorgeous looking models built straight away. Hopefully by now you'll invest in a pair of better clippers than the one you actually get with a subscriber set, because honestly they're fine for beginners but they're not exactly perfect, and start snipping away all your guys and all of the models. Once again though, Games Workshop seem to have messed up on the actual numbers. It's a very obvious swap and it's not too much of a problem, but it is quite annoying that this does keep happening. Anyway, once we've cleaned up our models and glued them together, they look absolutely fantastic. And in no time at all, we've got our little miniatures put together. I've got to say, they are absolutely gorgeous. I already own this set. I got it when it was part of an army pack, I believe. But they are absolutely gorgeous. They are some of my favourite Chaos miniatures. Of course, after that, we're on to the painting. Now, how this is laid out is for the Apostle first and then the 2 Disciples, but it's a lot quicker and a lot easier to actually just flick back and forth and paint them as you go. Stick with the colours and just do it that way instead of going backwards and forwards. Chaos have never been my favourite army to paint, on the simple fact we've got all that trim, so that will take a lot longer in the sort of squad sets than usual because they've got all that trim. Of course, after the paint guide, we've then got the work in progress. Make sure you pay attention to that. And as I've always said, get the sprays for these guys and spray them rather than hand undercoat them. It's a lot quicker, it's a lot faster, and the results are a lot better than if you hand paint them. From there, it's just a matter of adding all those colours. It didn't take too long whatsoever. In fact, it only took about 2 hours to get all these guys, actually no less than that, about an hour and a half, to get these guys up to the standard that they are in the magazine. For the first time as well, we end our little paint guide with a bit of a shade, which is one of my favourite aspects of painting, as it adds so much character to the models and get rid of all of those flat colours. And there we go, that's our Chaos Dark Disciple and the Dark Apostle, I may add. I always get those two confused for some reason. Currently up to date. I think they're absolutely fantastic models. They look great. Can't wait to actually get more paint on them. So after our painting, we've got our little naming table that we can choose to use if we want to. And we've also got the data sheet on the back of that. Interestingly as well, we've got more naming tables, but this time for each of the Chaos Gods in our units, which I think is a nice little addition. And from there, we're diving straight into some gameplay with Scenario 21, Arena of Madness. Now, this one is quite interesting, as the Dark Apostle will be facing more opponents than normal, and from all different armies. I can't wait to actually get stuck in this one. And we've also got victories for different Chaos Gods. I really do like how they're delving into the full aspects of all sides of Chaos. And then we've got 1 page of an example. So for this battle, we've got our Chaos Dark Apostle and his Dark Disciples on one side. And on the other are units of 2 Infernus Marines, 3 Guardian Defenders, squads of 3 Termagants, Lone Terminators, Singular Wind Riders, and finally Von Ryan Leapers. Deployment was super quick, with the Dark Apostle and his Disciples being placed in the centre of the battle mat, but now it's time to roll to see who he's facing. A 3 was rolled, so that means he's facing 3 Termagants who are going to set up in their gateway zone. So the Dark Apostle, being filled with rage and hate and having massive power armor, is just going to immediately charge forward straight towards the Termagants. However, in the shooting phase, he's not going to score any wounds whatsoever, but in the combat phase, he manages to wipe out all 3 Termagants before they even get a chance to respond. So for the first mishmash of opponents and nothing on the board, they need to roll anyway, and this time they roll a 2, meaning there's 3 Guardian Defenders are going to be deployed in the opposite gateway. As the Eldari aren't stupid, they're going to basically shoot immediately at the Dark Disciples, and they kill one of them. So at the beginning of turn 2, the Dark Apostle only needs to kill 2 more to claim a victory for Khorne, so he's going to move as close as he can to those Eldari warriors, but in the shooting phase he managed to not kill a single one of them. And unfortunately he also failed to reach them with his charge. So for the mixed team's second turn, we roll to see what was arriving, and it's a 5, which is an Eldari Windrider. He got deployed in the opposite gateway. Shooting began with the Guardians, but they failed to cause any wounds, and even though the Windrider had a scatter laser, he also failed to do any damage. Now, at the beginning of turn 3, the Apostle is going to try and take advantage of the fact he's facing some soft, gooey Eldari, and he's going to make his way towards them. However, in the shooting phase, he failed to cause any wounds once again with his pistol, so he decided to charge, and this time, thankfully, he made it with gusto. However, in the ensuing combat, it wasn't meant to be, as he failed to cause any wounds whatsoever with some really appalling dice rolls, and the one wound he did actually cause was saved by the Eldari. They then attacked back, and they managed to kill one of the Dark Disciples. So, for the opposition, once again, we roll for the gateway, and this time we rolled a 3 again, meaning 3 more Termagants. And with numbers on their side and hoping to actually press the advantage, all 3 Termagants charged into the Dark Apostle, but unfortunately when attacking, even though they all managed to hit, they failed to cause any wounds. The rest of the melee, however, didn't actually go to anyone's advantage, as the Dark Apostle managed to kill 2 of the Termagants, meaning he won. I've got to say, it's a very fun scenario. It's definitely one I'm going to play again. And after the battle, we've got our victory conditions, and I love the fact that it's chaos themed. So, on to issue 32, and the first thing that happens when we open it up is we're straight onto the how to paint guide, because of course this one came with 2 paints. However, we're only just using one of those paints, and that's the Reikland Flesh Shade. Shading is one of the most important parts of the painting process, of course, because it gives a lot more depth to all these models, and they start to look a lot more cooler on the battlefield. Of course, after the guide, once again, we've got our work in progress to make sure that everything we're painting is up to date. In the guide, you finally get to paint the Space Marine's hair. However, it sort of tells you to do it after you've done all the metal, but don't bother doing that. Do that straight away. It'll be a lot quicker and save you a lot more time, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. And then it's on to the shading. Now, this is not going to take too long whatsoever. In fact, it only took around about 20 minutes to get everything up to speed. And as you can see, they look a lot cooler. There's a lot more shading there. There's a lot more life to each of these models. We will be getting the highlights soon, I'd imagine, as we get closer and closer. And a lot of this stuff is going to look even better as we get nearer and nearer, as we get to their finished versions. So, after the painting, we've got some more lore. This time we're looking into Chaos once again, and their relationship with the Imperium. We also get a really nice look at some of the traitor legions and themes you can actually paint your miniatures in if you wish, but I'm going to stick with the guides for this magazine. After that, we're continuing with our Silver Templar story. This time it's part 8. And then we're on to the rules. This time it's the shooting phase. Make sure you keep hold of these as you're essentially building your own rulebook with this lot. After that, we're looking at the Strands of Fate for the Eldari, which is a power that the Farseer can use, and it's showing you how to use it, when to use it, and sort of the best tactics to use it when you are in mid-game. We get a nice little tutorial and some examples of how to actually use it in the middle of battle alongside the enemy turn as well as your own. These little guides are always useful because there are a lot of rules with each army, and sometimes it can get a little confusing, so definitely keep hold of this stuff as well. Then we got our little page of a look at these awesome models like we always get, basically an advertisement, and then a sneak peek at the next 2 issues. This time it's some Legionnaires. A pretty short video this week with only one small battle report, a really fun battle report, and some excellent models. And of course that added shading brings so much life to everything. I'm really happy I've got another Dark Apostle, because I've already got one for my own army, but this guy is an absolutely fantastic model. He is so much fun to paint, and I hope you have as much fun painting him as I do, and getting everything else up to date. If you want to see how things continue, give the channel a subscribe. These videos come out twice a month because obviously I have to wait for deliveries. And I'll be much appreciated if you give the video a like, give it a share. And, well, thanks for watching. So goodbye for now.